side. So Still Not a Player or Don't Want to Be a Player is just one of the songs. So there's a catalog of, over 200 songs that were subject to that deal between Joe and Jellybean. And when Pun died, technically he was due in advance for the album that was coming out for the publishing deal, and they never paid that money over to Liza. One of the confusions and one of the reasons why we want to do the media here is because what happened is that Joe went out claiming that he gave Liza $1 million when Pun died.
Live. Hip Hop Uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Hip Hop Uncensored is the vibe, so subscribe. Oh God, driving Sam and riding passenger side, and you heard it out the mouth of the greatest rapper alive. Go gang.
I'm sorry. So we will be filing notices of termination to negotiate to get the ownership of the masters. Where, like I said, it's around 1996 where you can send the notice, but it's 10 years that you still have to wait.
Okay.
Right. So for me, in the past, when I would contact Sony to find out information and how could I get the Pun situation and payment and what's going on with the royalties, they wouldn't. One day they just told me, basically, we can't give you any information, that Joe was on the account and that he was in control of everything, and that the day that I get him out of the account, that they'll be willing to work with me. So me winning this lawsuit, I'm saying not only did I get the publishing rights and ownership to that, it also put me in a position with Sony where now I get access to the account, I'm dealing direct with them, and so I'm basically in the right position right now because of that.
Okay, dope.
So talk about the nature of the dispute. I heard Miss Rosario, I think you did an interview on All Hip Hop years ago, and you were talking about Still Not a Player, and that Fat Joe, now correct me if I'm wrong, collected or put down too much of a percentage of his split. Like he put too much of the split of the song that he was supposed to get on that song and others. Can you break it down to the audience, the nature of the whole dispute, which you guys are claiming that he didn't do?
Okay, so, it wasn't, so what happened with Still Not Clearing the Sample, so the R&B artist Joe, and there's another sample, I think a Gamble and Huff sample, they took 100% of the writing and publishing on Still Not a Player. Wow. There was a small percentage of it that was being paid out to Joe internationally that we captured back in the lawsuit. But that is still, it's a very small portion, and it's still subject to dispute. So that part of it, really, it's not too much we can do about that now, unless a new version of the song comes out and we essentially sample the original to try to get publishing writer share back on that song for Pun, which is, just kind of unbelievable that he doesn't have writer share on that. But nobody was really looking out for his interest back then when all that happened. He wasn't dealing with the labels, Terror Squad was. And I can't say who's actually ultimately to blame, except that the song was released, to my knowledge, without the sample being cleared. And that's pretty much what happened.
To be clear,
Mm-hmm.
To be clear, back when Pun, he was signed to Terror Squad, and then he got signed to Loud Records, and then he initially got signed through Jellybean, the publishing. Pun trusted these people full-heartedly, and he went and signed paperwork with no kind of representation. And Pun, there was zero about business or paperwork or legal jargon, so he just sat there with faith, and he just signed things away, not knowing exactly what deal. And the deal that Joe had, he was the administrator of the deal. So any monies or anything that's get paid to Pun goes to him first, and he breaks Pun off. That's how it was. Pun wasn't getting paid directly, so that became an issue in the future.
So how do you guys come to the conclusion that Fat Joe or Jellybean Jams owes Big Pun any royalties, any money? How do you come to that conclusion?
Well, we came to that conclusion mostly on the publishing side. So Still Not a Player or Don't Want to Be a Player is just one of the songs. So there's a catalog of, over 200 songs that were subject to that deal between Joe and Jellybean. And when Pun died, technically he was due in advance for the album that was coming out for the publishing deal, and they never paid that money over to Liza. We did an audit as well in the context of the lawsuit to try to determine, the money that was out there. And the audit determined that there was over $2 million in royalties that was unpaid. Now, we don't know who took those royalties, and we've never said anything about that. I think one of the confusions and one of the reasons why we want to do the media here is because what happened is that Joe went out claiming that he gave Liza $1 million when Pun died.
Right.
So this is really the genesis of this issue about the money in Joe, right? It's not so much that there was an accusation that Joe was stealing money. It's that Joe came out and said he gave $1 million to Liza, and he never gave $1 million to Liza when Pun died. Nobody gave Liza $1 million when Pun died, right? And so in the lawsuit, we asked for proof, although we knew he didn't do it. But when you're in a lawsuit, it's all subject to proof. So we asked for the proof, the checks, the bank statements, whatever it was to prove that he supposedly gave this $1 million. And of course, he did not have any of that proof. So that's why we're here, to set the record straight. So Liza has not been going out telling people that Joe was stealing money. And, that's why we wanted to clear all of this up, because that's not what happened.
On my end, in the past, when Pun passed away, I came to Joe humbly and asked him, hey, he passed away. How do we go about this? How do we find out about what money is owed?
The money.
Before Pun passed away, he was asking about his publishing. Where's my royalties? Where's my publishing checks? He was asking for his payment, and he never got paid. So I continued to ask what Pun was asking. That's what he wanted me to do. So, so I asked humbly Joe, like, hey, well, how does this work? Like, let me know, show me, teach me, like, where do I go? And as time went on, he avoided the situation. And then he went on with a narrative about me, and then saying that he gave me $1 million publicly. When he started saying that, I knew that there was something wrong, because I'm like, I know he ain't giving me $1 million. So why are you saying that publicly, that you're giving me $1 million? So, so I knew Pun was supposed to get paid something, whether it was $1, $1 million, whatever it was. I didn't know. I just felt like, he should get what was rightfully his, and the kids should get rightfully what was theirs. So me, as a wife who loved my husband, my kids, all I did was go and try to get what was rightfully theirs. That was it. But, it didn't sit right with other people, and so that was my only thing, just to get what was rightfully his. And I'm just happy that that I'm in the place that I am today, that we finally got it situated.
Right. So we fast forward to Drink Champs. Fat Joe's on Drink Champs, and obviously they had the conversation about Fat Joe about Nori seeing the contracts, and it wasn't the way they said. And then you guys had the back and forth online, and Fat Joe basically saying that, tell him about the money I got you when he died and spent it. That's the $1 million he was referring to.
Yeah, I tell you,
yeah.
he gave me $20,000 in cash one time. Which I always remember, it was right around Christmas. My house was in foreclosure, and he gave me $20,000 in cash. I paid the $11,000 that was in foreclosure on the house that Pun had bought at the time, and the rest I spent on Christmas for the kids. And then I got $125,000 for endangered species that Sony gave me, not him. That Sony gave me for endangered species, which was supposed to be $150,000 advance, but it came out to $125,000 because there was a check that was stolen from Sony that I actually went to court, federal court, and testified. But I didn't get any back end for endangered species, nothing. That's all that I got. He claims that he gave me all the money he got, that he was supposed to get all the money that Pun was supposed to get, and that the artists didn't get any advances for, I guess, their work, and that he gave me that. That's all lies. And I would hate to think that the artists gave up whatever portion they gave up, thinking that it was going to come to me and the family, and I never got that. And then I got $116,000 on the publishing side, right? In 2001, 2002, I got $116,000 that went to Jellybean. He gave me that. But while we was in court, I found out that $116,000, it was supposed to be really $700 and something thousand that they were supposed to give in advance. but I only got 116. And throughout the years, you know, they had me in the red. Like they were, while we went to the court case and we did the audit, when I went to court, I owe more money. They said I owe $250,000. And Lita was telling them, how does she owe $250,000 when we only got 116? And then eventually, you know, yeah, they had me in the red. You know what I'm saying? I was recouping their cost of what they were getting. So it was a mess. You know what I'm saying? So, but that's the money. I never got $1 million. I never got anything else. He never gave me a salon. He never, you know, all the things that he said he gave me, he didn't do. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I asked after the court case, after the mediation, when he settled out. Lita was there. Remember when after the court case we came out the mediation room? I sat there with tears in my eyes, and I grabbed his hand. I said, "Yo, can we put this under the water?" You know what I'm saying? Can we just lay this to rest? Like I begged them. I'm like, you know, this should have never came to this situation. You know what I'm saying? So for the sake of hip hop, for the sake of Pun and the fans, for you know, for our children, like let's just put this under the bed and just move forward. You know what I'm saying? And he listened, whatever, but then 2-3 days later he was on From Master Flex creating his own narrative. You know, so you know, it's you know, and earlier this year I tried to make peace with him. You know what I'm saying? I had my state manager, you know what I'm saying, on a 3-way call with Joe and Nori trying to make peace. You know what I'm saying? But he's been, you know, I try to make peace. I didn't do anything wrong, but get what was rightfully Pun's. And he's in his feelings and he refuses to make the peace. So I just let it go. You know what I'm saying? I let it go in God's hands. I don't have no bitterness towards this man. I don't hate him. You know what I'm saying? I don't hate him, or you know, you know, I wish him well in all his endeavors, but it's unfortunate that it is it's like this way. But at the end of the day, you know, I just gotta keep, you know, moving forward, and my focus is always been my husband and always been my kids.